Christian Yelich is the worst player in Major League Baseball. Sort of. According to some specific statistics, like F4, Christian Yelich is the worst player currently playing in Major League Baseball. He has the least amount of value to his team. He has made the least impact. He's looked pretty horrible. So like ever since that guy from ESPN, or I don't even really know what company he wrote for, wrote that article about Christian Yelich being better than Mike Trout, that couldn't be more wrong. Now, do I think Christian Yelich is a bad player? Absolutely not. That's crazy. It's called a slow start. He's played in 8 games. Let's not completely overreact. So we'll talk about Christian Yelich's slow start. We'll talk about some of the other players around the leagues, their slow start. If you want to see me talk about some of the players that are maybe off to a hot start, drop a like on the video. 2,000 likes, you'll get that video coming at you tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you enjoy the content. If you love baseball, click that sub button, join the team. Get in the comment section down below. Let me know who's been the most disappointing player in your eyes so far this season. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, second channel. Links are in the description. Going to be uploaded on the second channel today as well, so keep an eye out for that. So like I said, Christian Yelich is having a nightmare start to the season, and it makes sense. We have a weird season with a late start. He's coming off a knee injury last year, so he's had an even longer offseason than normal, which in theory could have helped, but also at the same time, he probably needed to see some live pitching like he saw in spring training to get back into the rhythm of things again. That long layoff is definitely making a difference for him because his numbers, like I said, are bad. According to Fangraphs, he has the lowest WAR in all of baseball among qualifying players. He's number 1, followed by Nick Ahmed, Jose Peraza, Justin Smoke, and Ozzy Albee. Now, offensively, he's actually having a better season than the guys probably mentioned. The problem is defensively for Christian Yelich, he's just not very good. At his best, he's about league average in the outfield, and right now he's not even that. So his offensive struggles plus his defensive struggles are making him what appears to be the worst player in baseball, when we clearly know that's not the case because Christian Yelich is one of the best players in baseball. Without a doubt, top 5, arguably top 3. So let's take a closer look at the numbers here for Christian Yelich and what's really going on. From a traditional number standpoint, here's what we got. He's hitting .088 with a 162 on base, 206 slugging, and a 368 OPS. That gives him an OPS plus at 3. This is a guy who the last 2 years averaged an OPS at about over 1,000. He's walked 3 times, striking out 16 times in 34 at-bats, 1 homer, 3 RBIs, and a double. Just not a great start for Christian Yelich. Take a look at some of the advanced stats. We'll look at sabermetrics. We'll look at Baseball Savant and StatCast. You can kind of start to see what the difference has been in Christian Yelich's game thus far, as well as it's only 8 games. It's a slow start, but hey, this is a good YouTube video title, so I couldn't pass it up. Like when one of the top 5 players in Major League Baseball is physically, statistically proven as the worst player in baseball, that's just made in heaven for a guy like me. So his K rate is through the roof right now. He's struck out 43.2% of the time, walking only 8. That's horrendous for Christian Yelich. Not indicative of the kind of player that we know he is. ISO, crazy low, 118. That's not good. He is a guy who sits a lot higher than that. Like the last 2 years, he's been around 300. BABIP is really bad, 118 BABIP as well. A guy who sits around 350 for his batting average on balls in play. The WOBA is at 170. The WRC plus is at 3. Yeah, look at this. We're dropping some sabermetrics on you. That's for all you sabermetrics nerds out there. I'll give you some of what you want sometimes. He's just been horrible. And then before we go into like what's going to happen in the future, let's take a look at the Baseball Savant stats, StatCast, because I think that will really give you a better look, an inside feel on what's going on with Christian Yelich. So here's like that little percentile graph ranking thing here. We'll tell you all the percentages and where he ranks. As you can tell, pretty much all of them are in the blue, except for barrel percentage, which is interesting. Still a little bit higher in the barrel percentage, but lower than what he's normally been at the last 2 years. I think the big thing to note here, though, is that his launch angle's been down, 4.2 launch angle. He's been hitting a crazy amount of ground balls, not really lifting the ball, not really driving it. When he is hitting the ball hard right now, it's just going into the ground. And as we know in baseball, hitting the ball on the ground is not nearly as productive as hitting the ball in the air. That's the whole thing with launch angle, hitting home runs, trying to hit over the shift as opposed to around it. It has been proven now that when you hit the ball in the air, more often you are going to get a hit than when you were hitting it on the ground. And Christian Yelich just isn't doing that this year. When he is making contact with the baseball, it is going into the ground. So the optimal launch angle in baseball to get a hit, to hit the ball effectively, is about 20 degrees. Christian Yelich, we took a range. We took 10 to 30, gives you the average 20 right in the middle. Both of those you can still get line drive. You can be fairly successful. He only has 3 balls put in play in his 37 plate appearances, 34 at-bats, where he's hit a ball at a 10 to 30 degree launch angle. That right there tells you everything you need to know. He's not hitting the ball that much in the air. And that definitely like solidifies the numbers that we just went over about more ground balls opposed to fly balls. Like look at the stat numbers here. Look at the percentages. It's obvious he's just hitting the ball on the ground more. 61.1% ground balls. That's like almost a career high. 11.1 fly balls. That's super low, way lower than it's been the last 2 years. The line drives are even lower. The fact of the matter is Christian Yelich is just not hitting the ball in the air enough. He's striking out a lot more. And if you want to talk about Christian Yelich struggles, like does he do this the last couple of years? What's been his worst 60-game stretch if you were to play a 60-game season? He's still pretty good in his worst 60-game stretch, so like, it's just a minor slump. We shouldn't overreact, because listen to the worst 60-game stretch of the last 2 years. Still pretty good. In those 60 games, he had a 1.2 WAR, 5 homers, 4 stolen bases, 305 average with a 371 on base, 467 slugging, and 838 OPS, WRC plus 128, WOBA 361. Like, still, in his worst 60-game stretch of the last 2 years, he was very good. So is this slump going to really be indicative of how well he's going to play for the entire 60-game season? Of course not. But it is something to keep an eye out for, because Christian Yelich has been a little sketchy. He's struggling. He's going through a slump. It's happening to a lot of different players. I mentioned them a little bit earlier. Let's start to talk about some other big names that are just struggling this year. Maybe a little bit of a hint towards a video coming soon. Most disappointing players of 2020. Ozzy Albee's off to a slow start. Just hit the IL, so he's not going to be playing for a bit. Has a wrist injury. That might be why he's starting slow. He's been off to a terrible start. Josh Bell for the Pirates has looked horrendous. Now, granted, the entire Pirates team has pretty much looked bad outside of maybe Brian Reynolds and Colin Moran, but Josh Bell has not been hitting at all. He only really hits, I guess, the first half of the year, and technically, this is like the second half of last year when he was struggling a bit. Eugenio Suarez, not really hitting. Another guy coming back a little bit from injuries. Gleyber Torres, Rafael Devers, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso has been looking lost at the plate, and I can break it down for you, but that might be another video. If you want to see that, comment section down below, just comment Pete Alonso, because it has been very obvious what's wrong with Pete. His hands, man, his hands are all screwed up right now, as well as definitely a little bit his head. Cody Bellinger's been struggling. Mookie Betts started to heat up a little bit. He was struggling at the start. I mean, here's what we have to remember. Most teams have played around 10 games. Some teams have played a lot less. Even in a 60-game season, it is still way too early to start making decisions about who's the best, who's the worst. We have seen, like, what, 15% of the games thus far this year? There is still so much baseball left to be played. Maybe for teams a little different. The Mets not looking great right now. But for specific players, this is just a slump. And unfortunately, with a 60-game season, a slump is going to hurt your numbers overall a lot more than it does in a 162. Because, you know, a 10-game slump now is 15% of the season as opposed to under 10. But you're gonna see these guys bounce back. You're gonna see them recover. And of course, Christian Yelich is not the worst player in Major League Baseball. He just happens to be playing like it thus far early in the year. So if you guys want to have some fun, here's a little challenge to you. Go down in the comment section below. Go see who didn't watch the entire video, because you will know if someone's like, I can't believe you think Christian Yelich stinks. You will know they didn't watch the entire video. You know that they just read the title, saw the thumbnail, and started commenting because they got triggered. So if you want to have some fun, go check those out. Maybe comment, hey, watch the full video. I know I will be, because, you know, I do get some fun out of that. But clearly, I do not think Christian Yelich is the worst player in Major League Baseball. Just happens to be playing like it right now. It's called a slump. Everybody goes through them. So I'd love to know what you guys think about Christian Yelich struggling, Alonso, Acuna, all these guys off to a little bit slow start. Do you think it has to do with the long layoff, or do you think that these guys are just not maybe as good as we thought? You're crazy if you think that, by the way. But hey, I'd love to know what you say down in the comment section below. Remember to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. I think I said 2,000 likes will do the most, like, the best players of the league that are surprising everyone this year. Drop me a follow on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Snapchat, the Discord, all that stuff, links in the description. And that's where we're gonna wrap up today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video as well as this, my most recent upload. So click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back at you tomorrow with another video. Bye!